Are you a 13-year-old boy who hasn't yet discovered girls? Well, 6 Underground is the movie for you. Oh, Jesus. What did I just watch? Oh, 6 Underground is... I think the best way to describe this is I'm old, okay? My heyday was really in the 90s, where everything in the 90s was like extreme sports, extreme drinks, extreme stuff with internet, now on the web. And that's kind of what this reminds me of. This movie makes me think that somewhere in the bowels of a Hollywood hospital, there was a screenwriter who has been in a coma since the 90s. And then he woke up and said, hey, I got this idea for a movie. And someone was like, yeah, go write that. I'll buy it right now. And that's how we ended up with this. How did this get made? This is so weird. And then, okay, so I believe Ryan Reynolds was a producer on this as well. And a lot of it just ends up looking like, where did Ryan Reynolds want to go on vacation? Now, I know he's got a family, and I think he's got 2 little kids. And I can easily see him saying, God, I really need a break from them. Where can I go? Hey, I like pizza. Let's film a lot of this in Italy. Now, at first I thought it was just like digital shots, but oh, hell no, they're in Florence. There's the Duomo. I'm sure they didn't drive a car right by the Statue of David, but there certainly were a lot of other famous landmarks. Okay, how to describe this incredibly bizarre story? This is kind of a... Dirty Dozen type movie. Now, The Dirty Dozen was made, I think, in the 60s. It was a World War II film about Allied soldiers who were in prison, in Allied prisons, for various crimes, and they were going to be put to death or be in there for the rest of their lives or something. And the only way to get their sentence commuted was if they formed a sort of a suicide squad where they're going on an incredibly dangerous mission, and there's a good chance they'll die. But if they do come back, totally pardoned. This is the same theory that we see later on with the DC Suicide Squad, or for Marvel fans, Freedom Force back in the 80s. The only thing is, that made sense. If you're going to be in prison for the rest of your life, you will do almost anything to get out. This movie, 6 Underground, does not. So the movie is about Ryan Reynolds, who plays 1, because they all get numbers. And he was some kind of a billionaire who faked his own death in a plane crash. Now, in the Dirty Dozen, everyone has a specialty, right? You got the sniper, you got the demolitions expert, you got the team leader, you got this, you got that. And it's the same thing here. So Ryan Reynolds, in addition to having money and convincing lots of women to sleep with him, he also has developed the technology to control magnets, which he uses very wisely to control salt and pepper shakers on tables, and a crane once. And then there are others. At the beginning of the movie, we see 2 through 6 as they screw up this job in Venice. They kind of suck at their job. 2 was shot. I'm not entirely sure what her specialty was. 3 is a guy. He's a big dumb brute who is kind of a softie at heart. Then you have 4. 4 is like a parkour expert. So we see him rollerblading on the top of Italian cathedrals. Like, what the hell? Could you get more 90s? Then we have 5, who I believe is supposed to have like medical training. And then we have 6, played by Dave Franco, who's the getaway man. 6 dies quick. So this movie is like very bloody, but it's kind of like gross out bloody, not at all realistic. They have like they cut out or pulled out somebody's eyeball and they're trying to use it on an ocular scanner to get into like a phone. It's really weird. So after 6, he dies and they need a new getaway man. So Ryan Reynolds contacts the guy who will become 7. Now, I believe they did give them all names in the movie at some point, except for Ryan Reynolds. But honestly, I can't remember, and I'm not going to go back and watch it again. So 7, he was, I think he was in Afghanistan, or maybe it was Iraq. I don't quite remember. But he was in the military, and all of his squad buddies died because someone in the chain of command wouldn't let him. He was a sniper. They wouldn't let him shoot some people who were going to blow up his squad. And Ryan Reynolds comes by, and he's like, "Oh, come with me, and I'll let you do that. I'll let you shoot people." And the guy was like, what? And Ryan Reynolds is like, "Yeah, all you have to do is fake your own death and become a ghost and never associate with anyone you associated with before, and I will totally allow you to shoot people." And 7 was like, "All right, cool." This is like the weirdest premise. Like, wouldn't you want to check out Ryan Reynolds? Like, he's supposed to be completely off the grid. How would you know this guy's on the level? You know, how do you know you're not getting like Ashton Kutcher style punked just to fake your own death? Man, it makes no sense. So Ryan Reynolds decides to play God, and he makes this dirty dozen, or dirty half dozen in this case, for his main goal of righting the wrongs of the world. So they start off, well, that Venetian job, God only knows what that was for. Ryan Reynolds wants to overthrow a dictatorial government somewhere in the stands in Central Asia. Why they pick there? Like, man, couldn't you pick China? Like, that's a country that kind of needs to be overthrown. Sorry, Chinese people, but the government's terrible. And so they launch this complicated thing where they have to go to Hong Kong to get the brother of the dictator so that when the dictator is killed, the brother can take over. And then they go fight. And it's just very weird. So I said in my Witcher review, any movie that has ninjas, pirates, or boobs will get a higher rating. This would be the exception. They made nudity so boring. I don't think there were actually any boobs in this, but they had these sex scenes that were so PG. I mean, in the 90s, you would have like all the clothes off and people were going at it, slow-mo with some music. God, I miss the 90s. This movie had none of that. It had like, okay, there were some ladies in lingerie. Like, why they would wear half this lingerie into combat, I don't know. There was the guy 3. He gets in his shorts. I think he was in underwear. And like the sex scenes are just so unerotic, are just so boring. It's unbelievable. So no extra points for nudity for you, my friend. Now, having said all of this, the movie was actually kind of fun. If my wife hadn't come in and given me that disapproving look, I probably would have enjoyed it more. But it's very over-the-top violence. A lot of it is silly violence for no apparent reason. Lots of people getting shot. Most of the men in this are dummies, except for Ryan Reynolds. It's very clear he had a lot of input in it because it's, again, like a 90s style Buffy the Vampire Slayer dialogue where Ryan Reynolds does his sarcastic thing. It was really funny as Deadpool, but dude, you can't do that in every movie. You got to be a little serious sometimes, or at least get better jokes. But it was what it was, and it was fun. And there were a lot of explosions, a lot. So much so, at the end of this, I actually said, I wonder who directed this thing. And as the credits were rolling, somehow Ryan Reynolds got Michael friggin' Bay to direct this movie. Oh my God, there is no more trifecta. Rollerblades, questionable nudity, and Michael Bay. Like, what more 90s of a movie could you get? If it weren't for the occasional cell phone in this, I could absolutely take this movie back in a time machine, and people in 1995 would be like, oh, hey, when did that come out? It would not seem out of place at all. All right, so that was a quick review. If you're looking for something stupid that's action-packed with some nice stunts and some nice fun fight scenes, then yeah, Six Underground is for you. If you want a little story and characters and stuff that makes sense, go back and watch Dark Crystal. That might be more your speed. Or I don't know. Anything else. All right. What do you guys think of Six Underground? Was this absolutely ridiculous or no? Or is it just me? Leave a comment down below. Thumbs up if you liked it. Please subscribe. We'll have more coming soon. I am going to take a little hiatus for the holidays, but I will be back probably early January. Otherwise, it'll just be comic book reviews. Thanks a lot, guys. See you later.